left. Myers has it. He blows right by. Gets to the three-point line. Gives it off to Miguel Arnold. Rises and fires. Miguel!
Welcome to the Dip Mitras Show. I'm your host, Chad Cook, but of course the star is Dip Mitras, the 19-year head coach at Augusta University. He's won more than 500 games as a collegiate head coach and won more than 73% of his games here in Augusta. Our special guest this week is Carson Seemann out of Cincinnati, Ohio. He's a redshirt freshman. We're going to get into things like the fact that he's a finance major and stuff like that. But Carson was suggested last weekend by his roommate, David Vitti. Carson, he didn't really have anything good to say about you. I asked for somebody with an engaging personality, a great guest, and he said, well, I can't think of anybody like that, but why don't you take Carson out of the apartment for a little while and do me a favor with that. But I know he was just joking around. Carson, how do you like it here in Augusta, here in your second year?
It's great. It's a different environment than back home, back in Ohio. But I love it here. I love the guys here. You know, it's fun being around them all. It's a great college to be at, great classes, everything like that. And obviously basketball is just great. So it's just really fun being down here, being in a new environment, just learning new things. Yeah,
you. I've heard you're an Ohio State football fan.
Yes.
Probably took a lot of heat in the last several weeks.
It was tough. Luckily, got to go to the game, which was fun. So it was cool. It was a good Christmas present for my parents.
Cool.
So it was fun to go to the game. You know, not the outcome that I wanted, but it was one of the best environments I've ever been in to see a football game like that.
I can imagine, and that for that brief moment was the first time that I felt bad about Georgia winning that football game. When I heard that you went to the game, I'm sure that gutted you at the end. And all your friends here are having the time of their lives, that had to be tough.
Yeah.
Now, Coach, before we come back to Carson, it's not often. I think it's the first time we've sat here right after a loss. Team dropped the first game in conference play in exactly 365 days to the same opponent that got us a year ago, right before you went on a 20-game win streak all the way to the national championship game. That was Flagler. Also, the first home loss in almost 2 full years. What are your reactions coming off that, and then heading into a huge game at arch rival USC Aiken Wednesday night?
Yeah, we got outplayed, and obviously Darren didn't play because of an injury, but we just played with no pop and enthusiasm. And, looking back on it, I made a mistake, and I should have taken guys out earlier in the first half. I kind of rode the horses that I've been riding for a number of years now, and we just didn't play well. And hopefully we'll learn from it. On Sunday we came in rather than practicing because I threatened to practice at midnight and checked with the NCAA rules. I could do that, but we came in and watched film and let them see their mistakes and identify their mistakes. And we watch a lot of film of other teams. We don't watch a lot of film of ourselves as much. I'm a little old school in that sense. And I think we realized how poorly we played. And give credit to Flagler, they played phenomenal, but we were not good. And to be honest with you, we haven't been good for a couple weeks. So I think we'll get back on track.
So let's. You mentioned riding with the guys that you've been riding for many years, and maybe taking a little too long, maybe to go to a different group. And so we happen to have, Carson was a part of that group that I think when Carson, Chris Britt, Alu, and do I say his name right?
Alu, yeah.
Alu, and
Daniel Allen and Tyshawn.
Daniel Allen and Tyshawn Crawford, who was on the bench at the time when you inserted that group. I think the deficit was 21 with just over 4 minutes to go, and they cut it all the way to 12 with a little bit under 3 minutes to go, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go to that film. That's clip number 2, and then we'll come back and get some reaction. So, Coach, at the end of that run, you cut it to 12 and called timeout, got the guys together. Can you share what you had to say?
Yeah, basically in the huddle, I said, the guy who was most into the game was Darren Lucas White, and he didn't play in the sense of he was verbal on the bench. He was trying to help guys out in the court. Darren's a special guy, but like that shouldn't have happened, and it was going on all game. And I guess I give Darren credit. He tried to play with an injury. He got 2 offensive rebounds in 3 minutes. So they're really disappointed with our effort, and just want to make sure that we knew that point. And I think our guys understood, because I heard a couple of guys say, yeah, Darren was into it, because he was on. I could hear him on the bench telling guys how to guard things. So, is not a comforting loss, but you don't win all the games. You hate to lose one at home, but like I said, we'll bounce back.
Yeah. So Carson, you've been, whether in sweatsuit as a redshirt freshman last year or in uniform this year as a redshirted player last year and in the uniform this year as a redshirt freshman. You've been a part of 55 games. 49 of them have been wins. That's over 90%. So it's not often that you've experienced a loss in an Augusta University uniform. I was told that the team got together, watched film, and you guys identified as players where you think things didn't go right in that last game. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so Sunday we came into practice, thinking we were gonna have practice, and then coach says come up and watch film. So, when we know that, we're gonna watch the game that just happened. So, we all go in, we kind of know what happened and know what we need to work on, but seeing it in film is good for us because we get to really see see what's open, see what's not open, see how everybody's being guarded and stuff like that. But during those film sessions, coaches don't talk a lot. It's pretty much all of us. We all chime in on what we see on what's going on. Older guys really say, hey, that was my fault. I could do better on this, or good job on that. And just stuff like that where everybody gets to chime in, see what's going on, and see what they see and see how you could do something better.
Yeah, I'll go back to that one thing. My second year here, third year here, we had a film session. And one of the guys said, hey, he's going to show you a dunk. He said, no, he's not. Okay, when I'm in there, I'm not showing anything good. They can see your clips to see the good things nowadays. So, no, whenever I'm in there, just to point out the errors. And, looking back on it, I probably should have done this during some of our wins because I wasn't happy with how we're playing. And, it is a long season. And, I don't know if Carson was part of the one down at Flagler. Did you make that trip? I don't know if you did. He was redshirt because he did make that trip. So, losing's never fun. Tyson actually stopped by my office after the game because he was signing a T-shirt for somebody who was there at the game, and he kind of alluded to it. He's like, "Hey, at this point of the game, man, we just basically died out there and quit." So at least our returning players know it. The guys got a chance to go out there, and we look forward to building on it.
During some of the interviews, there's been a point that's been made a few different times about, there's such a veteran group, guys that have been around 5-6 years. So they're, I don't know, maybe 23, 24 years old. And so there's been a point made a few times about, the older guys kind of getting on to the younger guys. When Darren sat here, you mentioned Darren being into the game late when the younger guys are in the game trying to make a run. When Darren was in here, he talked about, he's like, there's different ways to interact with less experienced players. This is Darren talking, I choose to be more supportive as opposed to confrontational about it, more positive as opposed to negative. Let's say maybe some of the other guys are a little more confrontational. It sounds like you're saying in this particular film session, it wasn't a time for pointing fingers. It was a time for taking responsibility.
Yeah, guys pointed themselves. Which was good. I remember Carson asked the question early, and yes, it's good when they pointed out themselves. They never once said, "Hey, this guy didn't do this." They watched themselves, and I purposely kind of just paused it and said, "Okay, what are we seeing?" And obviously, I had to interject some stuff, but when I think they identify it. There's some other things that we haven't addressed yet that I'll identify tonight in practice. But it's like I said, it's a learning experience. You don't win every game, and you have to do something to cause the other team to play poorly. Okay, and we did not do that. And I would argue we haven't done that much this year, except by having good players. So hopefully we'll get that focus.
18 games, 8 times we've fallen behind by double digits. You mentioned like maybe some of the wins you weren't all the way pleased with. So, there's been a little bit of in the background, people have, that I talk to say like, one day it's going to catch up to us. So, good wake up call to have. Clint Bryant, your former boss, good friend of both of ours, made a comment over the weekend that if we would have all had the chance before the season to say, all right, let's fast forward to game 18, would you take 16-2?
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody would.
Absolutely. Because we've won numerous games this year because of experience and having talent. But no question, 16-2, and let's play these last 10 out.
Carson, do you feel like you have a good grip on the Augusta University versus USC Aiken rivalry here in your second year? Like, do you kind of know what that means?
Yeah. So last year going into that game, I remember talking to Tyshawn, and I was just asking him, like, how close is this game? Like, how far are we away from each other? And he's like, oh, it's like 20, 30 minutes. And I was like, 20, 30 minutes? Like, that's got to be like our rival, right? Wouldn't you say? He was like, oh, yeah, like it's definitely a big rivalry around here. And then once you get to the game, it's like place is packed. Like everybody's there. You're getting yelled at. You're getting screamed at. It's just like it's a great atmosphere to be in during that game. And it's just really cool to see like two cities just go at each other. So it's definitely a cool experience.
First time I was at Augusta University, USC Aiken, at the time it was Augusta College. Dip, you were an assistant coach. Buck Harrison, Keenan Mann's senior year, our first year in Division II. Mm-hmm. And honestly, at the time, we had been Division I. Augusta College had been Division I for many years, all the years that I had watched them at that point, and we never played USC Aiken that I could remember. And so we go over there. Really didn't know what USC Aiken was because I was a big AC fan. I was only 14, 15 years old, and we go over there, and I didn't think it was that big a deal, but through the course of the 40 minutes, and they actually beat us, through the course of the 40 minutes, it just like, it sunk in that this was different. Carson, tell me, let's talk a little bit about yourself. First, a little basketball. Coach has talked about the style of play in different regions of the country. We're in the South, the Southeast. Cincinnati's not too far away, but it's more towards the Midwest. Have you experienced a differing style of play here when you've come to Georgia?
Yeah, for sure. I think, which is a good thing, I feel like. Learning two different styles of basketball it's hard at some points, but it's good to like combine them all together. Back in like Ohio, playing in Cincinnati, more of the league that I played in was more like methodical, where like every possession was hard earned and stuff like that, which is definitely here too, where you got to learn how to like get gritty and like get down, play defense, stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like when you get down here, you gotta be able to like work with yourself. Like you got to be able to get buckets by yourself too. But like learning from just this style of play, learning from guys who played around here and back like from my area, it's good to combine both styles of play because it really helps you in like the long run.
Yeah. The one-on-one stuff that Carson kind of alluded to there, it's always been my impression that our style is a little bit different from the common Southeastern
Well, the South is
style.
an athletic area. And it's athletic. If you watch SEC basketball, it's completely different than watching Big Ten basketball. Big Ten basketball, when you watch it, the teams may run different offenses, but the philosophies are the same. One of the reasons we have success is we try to get some athletic guys to play a very unselfish style. One of the things that attracted me to Carson when he came here was like, okay, you're going to be a point guard or you're going to be a two guard? And after we sat down after the first year, I said, hey, if you're going to contribute here, you got to become a point guard. And he's got the leadership. He knows he's got to work on his shot. He knows he's got to work on his strength. He valued the year off was extremely valuable for him. And then this year's been invaluable. He's going at, a very good point guard every day, and he's got a bright future. It's just when you walk into a program that's had success, it's really hard to get in the rotation. But he's every day in the gym shooting, work at his game, and we look forward to big things in his future.
Yeah, one exciting play. I would say you've made the most of your opportunities this season. One of them that was very exciting that we wanted to put in here was at the end of the game against Georgia College.
Ball tipped away, recovered by the Jags. 2-on-1. And a slam for Seemann, and the bench explodes across
the bench explodes. Okay, because they respect Carson, they respect his work ethic, and it's not easy. He was a very good player. at his high school. All district, all region, whatever you call it up there. And they come here. It's a humbling experience. I mean, he could touch on that. He laughs about it. He played really well on his visit. Then he got here. There's a whole different level of intensity. Would you agree?
Tell us about that.
Oh, it was probably the most eye-opening experience I've had, just because when I came to this visit, we played open gym, so I feel like I played very well against everybody, and like they were giving me like tips and helps, like what I can do to improve my game. So once I like learned that they were all helping me, I like this school could definitely be a school that I could play for. And then when I got here, it was probably the first week I walked in, I was like, oh, like I can do what I did in in the workout or whatever, and got to practice, and I was guarding Darren, and I was like, he's going at me like a whole different speed. Like this is crazy. But it's good playing against those guys, because it makes you better, and it makes you want to play better and work harder. So it was definitely different coming from the workout to the actual practice, where everything's much quicker, faster. But yeah, like they're bigger, faster, stronger when you get here. That's what I tell everybody, like, that is younger than me that want to play college basketball. It's a whole different level, and you got to really get used to it.
Coach talked about your accolades in high school. I remember when you committed, I did a little research, and your team was very successful your senior year. I want to say semifinals in the state playoffs. Is that where you?
Yeah.
And that was a little bit uncommon. You didn't have a string of that kind of success, but your senior class was special. Tell us about your high school. How many years of varsity did you play, and what was that journey like with the improvement and the success your senior year?
Yeah, so my freshman through sophomore year, I was at Moeller High School.
Okay.
So my brother went there. It's like a main, like I would say, like a powerhouse basketball school in Cincinnati.
I've heard of Moeller.
So I was there for 2 years, and then I just felt like, I wanted to improve my game and wanted to like play a bigger role, I would say. And my class in that school was very, very good. And so I just always thought, I was just like, if I want to play college basketball, I think I should probably move to a different school and transfer. I talked to my parents a lot, and they helped me out through that whole process. But I came across to McNick, and just seemed like a good fit. The coaches helped me tremendously, and just the teammates were so fun to play with, and they were great guys. And I think the one thing that changed our team was everybody knew their role. That's what probably made us very successful, junior through senior year. But so I only played 2 years of varsity, and I played pretty well junior year. But senior year is like kind of where I could do what I do in that aspect of the game. But yeah, like we won a district championship, and that was the first time in 22 years that's happened at that school. So it was good to do that for the school, and just especially the coach, because he's a great coach.
Hey, weren't you called McNicky or something? That's what, guys. He doesn't like that. Probably.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that call it different names, but yeah, McNicky's definitely one of them.
Is that here, guys?
No, that's people in the Midwest.
Back home.
It's funny. We were. I think it was maybe Valdosta, because Mike Helfer is from Ohio. He's like, hey, you got a guy from McNicky? I'm like, McNicky? But I think that's a slam on this high school, I think.
Sorry.
Well, your senior year, you got to, kind of point at the scoreboard a little bit. Like you can make fun of our name if you want, but, we're winning. With that success, you get a lot of support. You windmilled it in practice in Evansville last year, and I posted that on social media, and a lot of people from back home like that. And I feel like your coaches, your family, of course, are paying attention, and it's good to get that support from back home, right?
Oh, it's awesome. Whenever you check Twitter or something like that, when people are like commenting on it, say, hey, good job, whatever, it just makes you feel literally at home, like being away from everybody and back home, like that you've been with your whole life. It's tough moving back down here, but when you see that kind of support from coaches, teammates, friends, family, it's a great feeling.
Yeah. Now, it's hard to be a college basketball player.
Yes.
It really is. And Chad, you know that, and you've been involved in programs. Like, it's hard to move from Cincinnati to Augusta, redshirt, and then play behind guys that are really good players. And it takes a discipline and work ethic that's not easy to do. And hopefully his hard work will pay off. And we're happy to have him as part of our program. And it's like I said, it's hard. People don't realize. And I told that when he goes home at Christmas, I always say, hey, tell the guys that you went to high school with how hard this is. And every one of them tell them, like, hey, this isn't like what you think. This stuff is hard. So I think he's a great example of that.
I totally agree. You know, I when I went to college, it was an hour down the road, and I think I cried. Yeah. And came back a year later so I could go to the local school, and didn't even last through my whole eligibility when it comes to college basketball. So I commend you for making a legitimate trip across the country, basically, and trying to earn everything you get. On top of that, just the whole the transfer portal and the movement of players, it's got to be impressive to see the long-term commitment that somebody like Carson makes.
Yeah, no question. He's got a plan. He's a finance major. He's got a plan with his life. His parents are supportive, and his move in high school, because I always get concerned with kids transferring schools. Moeller to make that makes sense, because Moeller is the program, I would argue, in Cincinnati. And if you're not playing and you want to play college basketball, you have to go to a level, to a high school where you can play. If he doesn't make that move, he doesn't play here. If Aaron Bird doesn't leave DeMatha and go to Landon, he doesn't play here. So it is, it makes sense. Sometimes these things make sense. And we research that stuff. And his high school coach is very supportive of him, and that's what we're trying to keep guys in our program about.
You talk about his long-term plan. Let's talk about that, Carson. Finance major. So you're already into your finance classes this early in your second year at the school?
Yeah, so last year I took all my intro classes that were pretty much just the business core classes. But so in my sophomore year now, you can take a couple of like finance classes, but you're still taking like the core classes to finish them up. But yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it. It's really like cool to just like learn something that I've wanted to learn for a long time. And you just get used to it, and just trying to finish up those classes, the core classes, to really get into your meat of the major.
Yeah. Do you have like a business or finance somewhere in your family, mother, father, uncle, aunt, something?
Yeah, so my brother, he was a finance major in college, and he just graduated, and so he's got a job in finance. So I've been talking to him just about how he likes it and how it's like the finishing up the college in the major. But yeah, my dad was he worked in business, so it's pretty much a business family. But yeah.
Now we had David, like we said earlier, David in here last week. He's in master's in teaching program right now, but his undergrad was business. Was it finance as well?
No, he's business. No, Vidi couldn't handle finance.
Yeah.
Finance is a step up.
We got him back.
Yes.
We got him back for saying that his teammates didn't have engaging personalities.
It's tough. It's tough.
Well, hey, and Dib, you mentioned a question that you'd like to like for me to ask Carson. So why don't you ask it yourself?
In 10 years, where do you see yourself with this finance degree?
What I really want to do, and what I've like researched the most, and probably what I've talked to my brother about and what he wants to do, I would like to do like financial advising, and I would like to like open up my own advising firm, which I think that would be very cool to do. Maybe even work with my brother. I think it would be cool to do that. But yeah, I mean, take it as far as I can with this finance degree, because I know it's tough to get. So I know people are looking for it, and I'm definitely interested in the financial advising.
Good deal. There's a lot of demand for people that need a lack of supply of people who can and want to do that. Do you is your brother an RIA? Is that how that would be?
Yeah. So that's what he's really doing right now. He's working for a financial advising firm, but it's his first year, so he's kind of like working under people. So, But he enjoys it though. I know. He's working hard, so it's good.
Very cool. A guy that has been on the show, actually substituted for Dip one week when he couldn't make it. Keenan Mann, he's one of the all-time leading scorers in the program, has a registered investment advisory firm, and you should maybe touch bases with him at some point. And then what I was going to ask, a little behind the scenes. I had a brain freeze a second ago, and we had to had to pause the camera and the film, and that's when Dip came in with his in 10 years. But what I was trying to recall that I wanted to ask during that moment was Tyree. I guess the guy that you play behind. Tyree has been working in the field, in the accounting field that he's majoring in, and now I guess in graduate school for accounting. He's been working in that field for a couple of years. Do you see that as something that you'll do along these next few years, start working in the financial advisory space as you're going to school and playing basketball?
Yeah, I think I've talked to Tyree about it. I know that he enjoys it. I know it says it's a lot of hard work, but it pays off. So I think I would definitely look at doing that in the future. So yeah.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, you've got some impressive players, Coach. We've had Tyree, mentioned him. We've had David with getting his graduate degree. Carson now with a long-term plan, even in his second year. My second year in college, I think I was just like,
somebody asked me what I was doing in 10 years, and I was that age, I wouldn't have said that answer. I was thinking, it definitely wouldn't have been that. But good for him.
Yeah, impressive guys. Darren's been in here. Such a Miguel story. Really happy we've made the players a big focus of the show.
Yep. I appreciate you doing it, Chad, and I know a lot of people from Skyline, Chile area of Cincinnati will be watching this.
Yeah. Good deal. Well, speaking of watching, come to USC Aiken. Like Carson said earlier, it's 20 or 30 minutes down the road. Come to USC Aiken, witness one of the best college basketball rivalries in, this Southeast. Long rivalry, a heated rivalry, and, that'll be Wednesday night at 7:30. The women tip off at 5:30. Augusta's 7-1, tied for first in the conference with North Georgia. One game behind Augusta and North Georgia is USC Aiken, so you can't get any bigger than this. The team goes to Clayton State Saturday and then comes back next Wednesday for a game against North Georgia, again, who has one loss like the Jaguars. The rankings will be coming out any second now. We'll probably go from number 6 to slightly lower than number 6, but the big thing on the way out, the big thing has always been, and this really crystallizes it, has always been the regular season championship.
Yeah, your goal is to win the regular season title and then the conference tournament. And you can't get the horse before the cart. Like, you got to focus on winning the regular season. And when we had no losses, I never looked at the standings, because I said, well, we have 0 losses. Well, now we have 1, and North Georgia's got 1. Last year at this time, we were in the hole, I think, two games, if not 3 games. So we were chasing something. You alluded to that. Well, now we're back, hopefully chasing this regular season title.
Yep. Okay, well, thanks to Get Up Productions for producing the podcast, the show, the Dip Mitra Show. That's getupproductions.com. And on Instagram, it's at getup.productions, and follow the Augusta University men's basketball team at Augusta Jags on social media, and then on the web at augustajags.com.
Myers has it. He blows right by.
Good job, Carson.
Gives it off to Miguel Arnold. Rises and fires. Miguel!